Welcome back to Shorts Behind the Sports. We are here with Nik Lassonde, the voice of Eastern Athletics. Nik, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I'm Nik Lassonde. I'm a junior communications major, and my job title here on campus is Student Sports Information Assistant, and my main role is doing public address announcing at all the athletic events, as well as sometimes broadcasting the events.
Thank you, Nik. So when did you start doing PA and broadcasting, and why?
So it was actually when I got here I started fully doing it, but I've always wanted to do it, always fascinated by it, and I'm a huge baseball guy, so I would always watch New York Mets games, even though I'm not a Mets fan, for their play-by-play broadcaster, and I was always just fascinated with how he made the game so interesting, even when the team wasn't doing well. So that's how I got into it.
Definitely. That's good that you have that kind of like role model too in the professional world to go off of. Now, which do you like better, doing PA or broadcasting, and why?
So it definitely differs. For basketball, I could only do public address announcing. That is, I can't imagine really doing anything else. But I'd say for probably every other sport, broadcasting the game is a lot of fun because you really get to show off the players. You really get to show off the student athletes.
Definitely, yeah. And what has been your favorite part of doing each?
So for PA, definitely the basketball games because of really the crowd you're able to interact with, and it's an indoor sport. So the crowd's more together rather than outside sports, and depending on the game, they get really into it. You get a student section, sometimes parents, but like a big shot, good example is playoff men's game against UMass Boston last year. Hunter Belarjan made a huge three to tie the game with less than a minute left, and the crowd went crazy. So like just moments like that, basketball and PA provide for me. It's great.
Awesome. Now, like you said, you're in front of these big crowds. You're the voice at these huge moments. What has been the biggest challenge for you doing so and being that voice, and how have you overcome that challenge?
I say trying to just not be in my head as much. Like, let's say I mess up a coach's name during my intros. I can't let that one moment define the rest of my intros. I can't do that. So, like, just being comfortable with the uncomfortable, fighting through it, and even if you mess up, just keep on going. But yeah.
Definitely, yeah, and it's good that you have that mindset too.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so, how do you come up with your announcing phrases?
So, one of the real popular ones of late is Dominic Dow from downtown. Dominic Dow, one of the best shooters on the men's basketball team. Bob actually came up with that. It wasn't me. I can't take credit for that. He honestly sent me an email before the Castleton home game and said, "Hey, I just came up with this if you want to use it," and I loved it. And I was like, absolutely. But long range is something I've always had. Like I always watch Brooklyn Nets games, and while it wasn't their public address announcer's main thing to say, he sometimes said it, and that kind of stuck with me. And especially with our women's team, they're not known for shooting threes, so especially Kaya Mayo and Taylor Salato are girls who always usually stand on the line for long twos. Mm-hmm. So instead of just saying their name, I wanted to say something because the men's obviously shoot more threes, so that's where this long range came into it. Doesn't really mean a three-pointer. It can mean a long two. It's just a long shot.
Gotcha.
So, yeah.
Now, do you have different strategies when it comes to doing these PA announcements and then broadcasting?
So definitely with public address announcing, the crowd is a huge factor, and you have to know how to work with the crowd. So let's say it's like the holiday tournament the men host every year. We don't really get a lot of people for that because obviously the students are home enjoying their vacations. It's mostly parents, so you just kind of have to be aware of how to use your voice. You're obviously not going to be, if someone makes a huge three with a minute left, there's not a lot of people in the crowd. They're obviously going to be excited, but that's when you just have to know, don't blow their ears off, but Also, same thing with that UMass Boston playoff game scenario. You don't want to be too quiet. You want the crowd to be able to hear you, and the momentum is a huge thing in basketball.
Yeah.
Your voices and how you play with the crowd is a huge thing. So I think sometimes I give myself an assist. Like another scenario is men's basketball is down 20 points going into the second half, and they just started stringing it together. It was a decent-sized crowd, so they got back into it, and the momentum just kept on going and going and going, and that's something that a PA announcer can do to influence that.
And that's really crazy, like, just, like, the depth of that.
Yeah.
And, like, the intrinsic sense of, like, knowing what to do in different situations, which is really cool. And kind of going off of that, like, what are some things that you've learned from doing PA broadcasting?
So definitely just when you first start, you're just not really you're gonna be uncomfortable. So you have to learn, again, be uncomfortable with the uncomfortable. Like, just being okay with messing up and not really trying to get in your head too much. And also, doing this role has me learning a lot about other sports. Like soccer, I've never done anything regarding soccer. So I think something a lot of public address announcers should do is, if you don't know a sport, learn it, because it just makes you sound so much better. And especially learn the team.
Yeah.
Learn how they play. It only helps you during the game when you're broadcasting the game. So I know something with women's soccer was Grace Muller. She was a captain. She always roams around midfield, and she always usually passes at midfield. So just learning about who her favorite targets are and stuff like that, just as example, it's really important. So yeah.
Definitely. And I love that. It just really takes your, I guess your game to the next level.
Absolutely,
so
it
to
does.
speak. It really does, yeah. And like, you don't see many people like doing that, and that just kind of shows your dedication to it, and that's awesome to hear. So, do you want to continue doing PA or broadcasting in the future?
Oh, absolutely. A job I wanted to really do out of school is be maybe a sports information grad assistant at somewhere in the conference, and be able to do what I'm doing now. And I think it'd be important for me to be in the conference because I'd be able to see Eastern from time to time.
Right.
But also work with new people, new student athletes, and learn them, and really restart this whole process of just being able to work with new people. So
Yeah, definitely. Make a good point there, yeah. And so kind of going off of that, you're very connected to athletes here at Eastern on a personal level.
Yeah.
And you're at every game, and from what you say, like practices you frequent often. And so what impact does doing PA broadcasting have on the athletic community and, of course, you and your involvement in it?
So it just really just makes you known, and I love traveling with the teams. One of my main goals is, before I graduate, travel with every team once. So I think when they first see you, especially I started with the broadcasting, they really don't know who you are. They're not like, hi, I'm this person, They're very closed off. They stay with their teammates, but as you travel more and more with them, this is something I noticed with basketball, they include you and stuff, and it's just really important to build a connection with your student athletes. And a lot of opportunities came for me from it. I was able to go to Florida this past summer with CSC, the Communication of Sports. A lot of sports information directors there, and students in sports information were there. I got invited. Lori Runksmeyer, athletic director, and Bob Molta sent me there to learn, and also just being on teams' support staffs. I'm on men's basketball, women's soccer, and volleyball, and now this year I'm a student assistant coach for baseball. So just being around is a lot of work, but there's a lot of benefits from it.
Right. That's awesome that so many different experiences have come from that.
Yeah.
Definitely very cool. And now, briefly take us through your pregame ritual, say, like doing PA.
So, baseball players have superstitions, and I'm very superstitious. So, I always get to a game, try to at least 90 minutes before, even if I'm fully prepared, which most of the time I am. Just go through I go through the names of each team 5 times, even if it's Easterns, and I've done them 10 times already. You can never be too prepared, which is something that I live by. I also check in with whoever's doing play-by-play broadcast.